Hello, and welcome to RED 6544, Cognition, Comprehension, and Content Area Reading, often referred to as the 3 C's course. I'm Dr. Danielle Dennis, and I will be your instructor this summer. I am an Associate Professor of Literacy Studies, having just completed my 9th year at USF. My research focuses on 3 areas, including literacy assessment, policy, and teacher development in literacy teaching and learning, with a specific emphasis in disciplinary or content area literacy. I've lost count of how many times I've taught this course, but I do ask that you share your feedback with me along the way, as I do use student feedback to help me make adjustments each time I teach. This presentation will provide an overview to the course as well as a description of Theme 1. For each theme or module, I use those two words somewhat interchangeably, so keep that in mind. But for each of these, I provide a presentation like this to support your understanding of the theme and what your expectations are or requirements are for that theme. Be sure to preview them before beginning your work in each theme. This particular video will last longer than the videos that come after it because it provides an overview to the course as well as that theme overview. So while this one may be roughly 15 minutes, the rest are typically right around 5 to 7. Each theme is driven by an essential question or questions. And for Theme 1, the question is, what do we mean by reading comprehension? So we're going to take a deep dive into what that means, because it's a term that is used quite a bit, but probably has more specific meaning than the way it's typically used. What I ask is that you keep these essential questions in mind as you complete your readings and assignments for the course. So for the course, I have provided a syllabus for you on Canvas. If you have not downloaded and read the syllabus at this point, I recommend stopping this presentation, going back to the syllabus, reading through it, and then coming back to the presentation. Although I will refer to parts of the syllabus in each of these presentations, it's your responsibility to know what is in the syllabus and be able to ask me questions based on what is in the syllabus, not what I've left out of the presentation. So the course focus, we are largely focused on reading comprehension. Specifically, our emphasis is placed on a discussion of cognition and metacognition and comprehension of texts that are included in the reading process. We are specifically focused on content areas. So how are children learning to read, learning to think about their reading in content areas such as English, science, social studies, and mathematics. So for your course text, there are 3 required course texts that everyone must have. We will use them throughout the course. You will read all or most of all of them, plus then 1 PLC text of your choosing. I provided a document in the first course announcement, or a link to a document in the first course announcement that I posted, that has a list of all the required books as well as the PLC texts that you can choose from. I really recommend that you spend some time looking through each of those PLC texts. I have a link to them on Amazon so you can read the description so that you can make a decision that will best support your own professional development needs. In the syllabus, there is a content outline, which shows the 5 themes that this course is designed around. Each of those lasts approximately 10 days to 2 weeks. The content outline provides the theme and the required readings for that theme. And then just down below that, you'll have deadlines for the assignments that are related to each theme. Along with those themes, within Canvas, you will find modules. Those modules are directly related to the theme. So module 1 is theme 1. It's just Canvas calls them modules. So on Canvas, everything you need for each theme is within the module that's provided for you. That includes a checklist of everything you need to do, from the readings to the assignments and their due dates. So I really recommend downloading that checklist each theme and using it as a way to gauge what it is that you're doing and whether you're making the progress you need to in order to meet the deadline. Because this is a summer class, it's really difficult for me to adjust deadlines because every major assignment in the class builds on the next. So if you don't get the feedback from me on one, then I have to push back the next one, and eventually we're getting to the end of the semester and everything is piled on top of each other. So it's really imperative that you complete the assignments by the deadline. Also, on the checklist, there is a link to the presentation for each theme. So that's this particular presentation that I'm providing to you. And for theme 2, 3, 4, and 5, you'll have a link to those presentations as well. So I, again, recommend that you utilize those and watch them or listen to them before you start the work in that theme. So for theme 1, hopefully you have downloaded that checklist and have it in front of you. It's a nice way to just keep yourself organized. You certainly don't have to do that, but I think you might find it helpful just because sometimes with all the documents and things on Canvas, it can get a little overwhelming. Keeping in mind for your PLC, the presentations themselves aren't due until June 19th. However, you are working in a group and you do have a text to read, an entire text to read before you do that work. What I would recommend is that you go into Module 3 and look at the PLC presentation guidelines now so that you and your group have a sense of what it is you're being asked to do. That way, as you're reading the text, you can be thinking along the lines of how you might present that information as required through those guidelines. June 19th will come very quickly, and I just want you to be certain that you are managing your time so that you can be an active member of that group. I will point out that I do ask every group member to rate every other group member, and I use those ratings as part of the final grade for you on the PLC project. I know that group projects can be challenging for some people. I know that some people tend to put in more time than others, and I think given the online nature, it's fair to credit those who do provide the time necessary. So for theme 1, I will talk about the readings in more depth in just a second. I'll also give you some more information about the learning log and teachers as readers, as well as talk about the first assignment in the curricular quartet, which is the student assignment. This class is pretty heavy on the readings. A lot of that has to do with the fact it's summer, but it would be heavy on readings regardless, I think, just because there's so much to think about when it comes to reading comprehension. For this theme, you are reading the Cummins book, chapters 1 and 2, Harvey and Goodvie, chapter 1 to 3, Keene and Zimmerman, chapter 1 and 2, and an article by Allington, which you can find under Module 1 in the Module 1 files, and you should be reading and keeping up with that PLC text. For your learning log, you're going to set up a professional blog if you do not already have one. If you have a professional blog, you can continue to use it for this course and just add some tabs for the purposes of this course. Please don't use a personal blog and add tabs to that. The purpose behind this is that you establish a professional presence online. I tend to use, I have both a personal and a professional blog, and for my personal I use Blogger. I find it to be slightly more intuitive than, say, WordPress. So I do use Blogger for that purpose. You might want to check it out. It typically links to a Gmail or Google account. WordPress, I think, looks more professional, but took me a little bit longer to figure out how to use it than it did take me to use Blogger. I know a lot of people use Weebly. I haven't used it myself, but it seems to be relatively popular, so if you want to check that out, you can try it. In the learning log, The goal is for you to synthesize the readings. So that list of readings I just talked about for theme 1, you're synthesizing them, not summarizing them, in order to respond to the essential question for the theme. Now remember, those essential questions are listed in the content outline on the syllabus, so you do not have to keep coming back to this video. But what you're trying to do is, as you're reading all of those pieces, you are thinking about how they relate and how they respond to the essential question for the theme. You should cite all of those readings and use direct quotes from them. Give the authors credit. That's the way that I know that you're completing the readings. But what I do not want to see is a summary of each reading that you've done. I've done the readings, so I don't need them summarized. What I'm looking for is how you synthesize all of that information to make sense of the essential question. For the first learning log, I'll give you a lot of feedback if you know you feel like you're a little bit confused or don't know what you're doing. But after that, the expectation really will be about that synthesis. And all you have to do is post the link to your blog to the assignment tab. So make sure you're posting to the actual page that you have written the blog for that theme. Also, be cautious, I don't know if that's the right word, think about your privacy settings, because if you have your blog set to private, then when you post that link, I won't be able to access it. So you will want to have your blogs be open, not private, so that when I click on it, I'm able to access it. Also, that's the purpose of a blog, is for people to be able to read it. And sometimes I will tweet your blog using the @LiteracyTweets account if I feel like it particularly speaks to the theme. So I want to be able to send that out to the followers that I have on that site. Teachers as readers. So you're going to include a tab for this on your professional blog space. And the goal of this is for you to select a text to read for pleasure. And rather than summarizing the text, although I think you will do some of that naturally, the goal is really for you to keep track of the processes you use to negotiate the text. How are you making sense of it? What do you do when it doesn't make sense? What do you do when you feel confused or bored or excited? You know, all of those types of processes. So the goal of this assignment is twofold. It's so that you will read for pleasure, because I think as educators, many of us don't do that as often as we should, particularly if you're teaching full-time, like many of you are, and you're trying to work towards a master's degree, like many of you are, or you know, a certificate program. So there is a goal in trying to get you to read for pleasure, but the goal is also for you to think about how you're reading, because thinking about the ways that we process text can help us think about how children may and the kind of support they may need. Keep in mind, you don't have to read the same novel throughout the course. This can be a magazine that you pick up. A lot of people in past years have been looking at travel guides because they're going to go on a trip when their courses end. You know, pretty much anything that you read for pleasure, you can utilize for this particular assignment. Again, you post the link to the blog post to the assignment tab for each of the 5 times that you submit to teachers as readers. So the first assignment in the curricular quartet is the student. What is really important for you to keep in mind is that each of these assignments builds on the next. So what you learn about the student that you're working with on this assignment, you will use to choose a text for the textbook analysis, and you'll use the information that you know about the textbook analysis to help you with the comprehension strategy paper, and that comprehension strategy paper will help you build the comprehension strategy project. So these should all continue to build on each other, which means that you do need to work with an actual student for this assignment, and then use the rubric and description that's included in the syllabus to support what it is that you are doing. There is an example student paper under Module 1 on Canvas that can give you an idea of how to build your paper and what it is that you're looking for. But there will be plenty of information for you so that you understand exactly what you need to do for this assignment and how to get it done. But keep in mind that keep the due date in mind, because you'll need to find time to meet with the student in order to move forward with this assignment. At any time during the semester, please don't hesitate to email me. It's usually better to email me directly as opposed to through Canvas, because I don't always get the notification from Canvas that I have an email. But if you email me, I'm typically very good about returning emails within 24 hours. So if you haven't heard from me in that time frame, and I haven't told you as a class that there might be a reason for me to be delayed, please feel free to email me again. That typically means I either didn't get the notification from Canvas or something happened to the email. But I am very good about responding. Also, something to keep in mind this summer is that I teach a study abroad program in Cambridge, England, and so I am 5 hours ahead of East Coast time in the United States. Because of that, I am not always able to respond immediately. So it's very important in this class that you're making sure that you have considered how you're going to progress, because I'm not always able to answer last minute questions, since if it's 7 o'clock where you are, it's midnight where I am, and I'm already in bed. Also, the study abroad program, we do have roughly 20 undergraduates who are out in schools in the Cambridgeshire area. So during the day, which is typically early morning or nighttime for you, I'm generally unavailable via email because I can only use Wi-Fi here, and not every school gives access to wireless. So just kind of keep that in mind. I will still get back to you within 24 hours, that I can promise, but I can't always get you an immediate response if you're kind of waiting to the last minute to get something done. So just want to put that out there early so that you know what my situation is this summer. So I'm really looking forward to working with all of you, and yeah, make sure to email me if you have any questions. Take care.